Hey, it's Haiti and I'm here with a video about how I became a minimalist. So the reason I'm making this video is because it's about time I finally talk about how I became a minimalist, but also around this time, it's January 2021. Um, a month ago, in December 2020, the minimalists Joshua and Ryan celebrated their 10-year anniversary of starting the Minimalist.com. So in the spirit of minimalism, they didn't throw a lavish party or bought themselves something super expensive to celebrate their 10 years. They just released an extra podcast episode and released their second Netflix documentary called Less Is Now. And it is because of their first Netflix documentary, Minimalism, that I became a minimalist myself. So I thought, why not tell my story in honor of the minimalists, Joshua and Ryan, and the release of their second Netflix documentary, which I have already seen. It came out January 1st. So let's get on with the video. So throughout my childhood maybe, or adolescence, I've heard of the idea of minimalism very briefly, probably in TV shows or movies, and usually it was portrayed in a very stereotypical hippie person or someone who is crazy enough to only own 50 items and fit it all into their backpack and travel the world, and it just seemed very unrealistic. But I actually kind of considered it during my senior year of high school. So it is my senior year of high school and my English teacher assigns us to read the book Into the Wild. So if you don't know about that story, long story short, it's about this guy named Christopher McCandless, and I think it's based off of a true story. And so he graduates from Emory University, has no idea what he wants to do. He didn't want that stereotypical American life, so he just went to the extreme and cut off all communication with his family, and I think gave up some inheritance money, if I'm not wrong. And then he decides that he wants to hitchhike into the woods of Alaska. The idea of surviving on my own in the Alaskan woods terrifies me and frightens me. I don't even like the idea of camping, but I was very interested in the idea of cutting off all communication with people that I know and hitchhiking across the country. Even though I realized that he was living a minimalist lifestyle and it was something that I was really interested in doing, I thought, this is not realistic. I can't just cut ties with my mom and my sister and go hitchhiking across the country. I would never survive, and my lifestyle just would not handle it. I really liked makeup. I had a lot of makeup and clothes, and I could not leave that behind. So I go to college and I continue to live my average American life and basically relied on owning half of the stuff that I mostly used in my dorm room or the apartments that I lived in college, and then the other half of all my belongings at home with my mom. And I basically lived like that for about 3 years. And in my junior year, my third year of college, I randomly was going through Netflix trying to find a documentary. The Netflix documentaries are amazing. They're on Netflix for a reason. And I actually stumbled across the documentary Minimalism. So the entire documentary was very eye-opening. I think it's about an hour and a half. It just had so much good information, and it gave me really good tips on how to declutter and how to prioritize the important things in my life. But the main idea that I took out of it, which is something that after listening to many hours of their podcast, they tend to emphasize is the idea that minimalism looks different for everyone. It looks different for a single 20-something-year-old guy compared to a mid-40s mother of three. And so I thought, maybe I can do minimalism. Maybe I won't have 50 items and live off of my backpack, but I can do good. I can reduce a lot of my items and belongings, even though it's going to be really hard because I have a borderline hoarder of a mom, and I tend to attach a lot of memories to items, and I tend to hoard stuff that I find useful also. And so I thought I need to start decluttering my stuff, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm gonna try. And the way that I'm saying it is very low-key compared to the way I actually reacted after watching the film. After watching the film, I became restless. I was very antsy. I'm like, I need to start throwing away stuff now. And just on a random school night, I started cleaning out my drawers in my desk. Look, because I access those all the time, and they were filled, and I knew that I needed to throw away some stuff, and so I quickly started with the desk, and then I moved on to my room and just started taking out a bunch of old clothes that I didn't need. A lot of them had holes in them, and I really only used them when I was at home, and I thought, I've had these for 10 years already. It's fine if I take them out. Like, I don't wear them out in public. So I'm moving from my bedroom to the bathroom, and I'm taking out a bunch of random toiletries and my makeup. There were some makeup items that I knew I just needed to throw away. They were super old, and I was still using them, even though makeup does expire. And I just realized I had hit the pan, and I can't get any more product out of it, and so I just kept the item because the packaging looked pretty. And at that point, again, it's all these like borderline hoarder tendencies that I get from my mom, and I had attachments to them, and I just needed to check them out. And so I'm getting trash bags and trash bags full of clothing and random items from my desk in my bathroom. And so my roommate looks at me, and she's like, what's going on? What are you doing? And so I tell her, and she probably thought I was like this crazy conspiracy theorist, or just someone who found a cult and has no idea that they look crazy, right? And so I'm telling her my epiphany of minimalism and how I need to declutter, and I need to get rid of stuff and try to live with the essentials and the necessities. And she's like, okay, like, I'm all for it, I support you, but what are you gonna do about that box over there? And this box a lot of people have made fun of me about it. When I was living in the dorms and I didn't have a lot of storage space, I used it as just another place to store my coffee mugs, or extra toiletries, or just extra like decorations for the room. But then once I moved to the apartment that I lived in, I had way more space. We had an actual kitchen where I can store my coffee mugs and my plates, and I had a restroom to put extra toiletries. And so I still had that box, and it's not really a box, everyone just calls it a box, but it's a plastic container, and it's those huge plastic containers. I think I looked it up so that I can give you an idea of how much stuff fits in it. It's an 18-gallon plastic container, huge, just full of duplicates. I had like 4 extra toothpaste tubes. I had 8 extra dish sponges. I had 3 extra dish soaps. I had 2 extra body washes, 2 extra conditioners, 2 extra shampoos. So when my roommate asks me, what are you gonna do about that box? I just look at her like, what do you mean what I'm gonna do with that box? I'm going to use up every single item that's in there. And then she just looks at me and she's like, we'll talk about that another day. And it took me a while, but I finally realized that's not normal. Another one of the tips that I don't know if it's mentioned in the first documentary, but it's definitely mentioned in the Minimalist podcast. They have a 30-30 rule, I believe, or a similar rule. They have so many small rules that I can't keep up with them, but there's a rule where they talk about if it's under $30 and you can get it within 30 minutes, then you don't need to get it right then and there. So a toothpaste tube, it's under $30 and I can quickly drive to Target to get it with it under 30 minutes. And so I don't need to have 4 extra in my house taking up so much space when I can easily just drive to Target and get one if I run out. And so that has definitely been helping, and I finally got rid of that big 18-gallon container. But it's just a lot of small stories like that that made me realize the type of minimalist that I want to be. So in general, it's been 3 years now, so since 2017, that I've started the minimalist lifestyle, and I'm still going strong. I listen to the Minimalist podcast almost every day just to listen to their tips, not only on decluttering, but just their ideas of how to live a meaningful life. And I really like that, because as a Christian too, I want to live a purposeful life for God, and the minimalist lifestyle aligns really well with that. And so I mean, basically the idea of minimalism and Christianity is an entirely whole other video, but I'll stop right here before I keep rambling. But yeah, that's my story on how I became a minimalist. So if you made it to the end of this video, first of all, I really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Second, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you have any questions, comments, concerns about anything I talked about in this video, or have anything to comment or question about my lifestyle in general. If you have any video suggestions too, please leave it down in the comments. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this about minimalism or Christianity, or just lifestyle videos in general. And feel free to check out the Minimalist documentaries on Netflix. The first one that they made is just called Minimalism, and then the second one is called Less Is Now. It just came out, and it's about an hour, and it has a lot of good information. So if you want to have a conversation about minimalism too, I am definitely down with that. But again, I'll let you go before I keep rambling, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.